Virtual Villainy is about a wonderful new virtual reality game which is so amazing and high-tech it looks just like real life. For reference, this book came out when video games looked like this.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
The Hardy Boys are here at Zyrodian Games at the request of the company's owner, Tom Trent. Someone is pirating the company's games, costing them millions of dollars in profit. But mainly, Tom is upset because he can't get his computer to work. That's right, the Hardy Boys flew all the way out to the Bay Area to teach an old guy how email works. No, actually, this is the work of our super hacker culprit. They reprogrammed Tom's computer to constantly play Death to Tom cartoons. It's sort of like Tom and Jerry without the Jerry. And that's even sadder than Ben and Jerry without the Jerry. The co-owner of the company is an attractive young woman named Amanda Boggs. Besides being the Hardy chauffeur, Amanda works as Miss Exposition. She constantly lectures them on how video games and technology works, explaining everything from keypads to the cells in cellular phones. I bet she's a real hit at parties. The other two characters are Willie, the laid-back guy, and Jack, the uptight guy. Willie designs awesome games about fighting zombies. Jack's games are about cleaning up your room and following safety rules. He's even less fun at parties than Amanda is. The next day, the Hardys visit a video game convention. They find a man named Simon Pratt, who is showing off one of the pirated games. He's not even doing a good job of covering his tracks. The cartridge clearly has Zyrodian's label on it. Pratt can't tell the Hardys who the culprit is now, because that would ruin the entire book. He asks to meet them on the docks after dark, which is totally suspicious, but the Hardys agree. By the time they arrive, Pratt has been murdered. The Hardys go to Amanda's house, where she explains about CD-ROMs and portable GPSs. It's not relevant to the story, she just felt like explaining stuff. More importantly, the Hardys oversee her talking with an armed man. Some minor investigation proves he is Daniel Bennett, one of 5 government agents who are trying to catch the pirates. Yes, Tom and Amanda asked the Hardys to investigate the game piracy when they knew law enforcement was on the case. Because if there's anything these books prove, it's that 2 teenagers are way better at solving crime than the US government. With no prompting at all, Willie becomes Joe's best friend and gives him a free prototype game. Willie says he knows who the pirate is, but again, he can't tell the Hardys who the culprit is here because that would ruin the entire book. So he goes off by himself to a warehouse, the Hardys follow. While Frank and Joe dodge automated forklifts, the culprit kills Willie. At this point, the book veers into filler territory for about 40 pages, where our heroes learn nothing new about the case and the culprit tries to kill them multiple times. The interesting murder attempt is when the culprit leads the Hardys to an abandoned warehouse with 2 arcade games. Amanda and Frank say that this is the most obvious trap ever, but Joe is an idiot. He's not gonna wait for the police to examine this area, not when there are video games to be played. He starts playing a game and, uh-oh, there are bombs all over the warehouse that nobody noticed until just now. They're rigged to explode when Joe loses the game. If he dies in the game, he dies for real. Things look tense for a moment, but Joe easily escapes by walking away during a long loading screen. Realistic? Yes. Exciting? Not so much. Remember how Willie gave Joe a random game? When Joe reaches the final level of the game, the screen starts displaying a bunch of programming code. So that's how the culprit is smuggling games out of the company. They put the games inside other games. The idea is that the culprit put the code in a game to circumvent internal security, but let's think about the process here. Instead of printing out the code or copying it to a text file or something that makes sense, the culprit put it in a text box in a video game. That way they could beat the game in their free time and manually write out the code when it flashes on screen. And the one cartridge with all the code happens to be the exact same cartridge that Willie gave to Joe for no reason. This culprit's plot is so convoluted, they could have used it in the 4th Harry Potter book. To be fair, the book tries to justify the plot with technobabble about auto-deleting code, but this comes after a lengthy technobabble section about the culprit's pirating operation. I am done with trying to understand technobabble at this point. Our heroes accuse Tom of being the culprit when they are interrupted by another Death to Tom cartoon. This time, they decide to trace the cartoon to its source, and it shows that Jack is the culprit. He kind of has to be the culprit because the other suspect died 80 pages ago. I have a question though. If tracing the cartoon easily solves the mystery, why didn't they do this at the very start of the book? The cartoon was introduced in chapter 1, so they had plenty of time to look into the cartoon earlier. Whatever. Jack tries to escape by setting off the alarms and making a bunch of crazy demands like, no more coffee breaks. Our heroes aren't fooled by Jack's delaying tactics, and they charter a government helicopter to catch him at the airport. Joe makes a special point to injure Jack by tackling him. I think Joe's still upset that the code trick prevented him from playing the final level of the game. The end. Post-book follow-up? The back of this book makes it seem like the Hardys get sucked into a video game where they must fight thugs and ninjas. I was disappointed to find out that never happens. Sure, they fight motorcycle thugs on page 1, but no ninja warriors, and now I'm confused because one of the online reviews talks about how great the ninja warriors were. Is my copy of the book different from everyone else's? Because no ninja warriors in my book! The book does have the section of, if you die in the game, you die in real life. Maybe that was originally supposed to be a 4-chapter subplot where the Hardys are sucked into a game. But they decided to get rid of that storyline and it was replaced with 4 chapters of filler. I guess that's possible, or I'm just making things up because I want to see Frank and Joe Hardy in a video game. I would settle for an explanation for why 255 is in the corner of the cover. That time never gets mentioned in the book, in the virtual reality game. It's, Overall, I'd say that the video game book is a below average book. Even though I love video games, I don't like to read dozens of pages on the technical aspects of video game production, pretty much all of which are outdated today. The culprit's plan makes no sense, and the only reason they catch the culprit is because Joe spends more time playing video games than solving the mystery. I suspect that the book would have been improved if the smuggling had involved movies or college textbooks or something else. I give Hardy Boys Casefiles number 86 Virtual Villainy a 3 out of 10.